and welcome to everyone. What a beautiful warm day we are having, and inshallah, not just our body will be in heat, but our souls, inshallah, soon we're going to be in a very nice, warm environment of spirituality. Um, Tonight, we are inshallah tonight or this evening we are going to inshallah have a lovely session on Du'a Kumayl, and I asked the host for tonight's event are actually Lantern of Light. Salaam alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Please forgive me for all these glitches.
No, thank you. Thank you. There's no problem. These are all beautiful experiences we're going through.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I was really looking forward to Brother Muhammad Ali
Yeah.
to recite the Quran, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we are able to invite him.
I see.
That was the plan. So,
okay. If he's on Instagram now, I can try and invite him
yes,
to
yeah. So
Sure.
I think it's Muhammad Ali, Dr. Muhammad Ali. Yeah, he's
Dr.
Muhammad
Muhammad
Ali.
Ali, if you're with us in the line, I'm here. I think that's the one,
Okay.
yeah?
Yes, please.
Let
Yes,
me,
please. Yes, please. Yeah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, go live. I asked, perfect. You have requested, accept. Bismillah ar-Rahman. I think inshallah, soon he will join us.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much for your patience. I do go through these tests all the time, and I think maybe this is a sign Allah loves me, because
Of course.
everything that I do, subhanallah, subhanallah, it's almost like Allah wants us to empty ourselves completely. And I think Du'a Kumayl is this dua that will make us humble, inshallah. So I think let's have Dr. Muhammad Ali, if he's there, if he has joined, inshallah. So we will begin with the recitation of Holy Quran and have the fragrance of Quran virtually, so that we all benefit on this night, Thursday night, Jumeirah, we all say, inshallah, and we will go ahead, inshallah.
Yeah, so I sent a request. I think there seems to be an issue. Let me see if I can maybe try one more time.
Yes.
Yeah, because Dr. Ali sent a request. I also accepted it, but doesn't seem to be going through. I see. Okay. Let me see. How can I? Otherwise, inshallah, I think maybe we can start the live again quickly. And prior to inviting Lantern of Light, maybe I could invite Dr. Muhammad Ali. Then, yeah, I think that would be the way to go. Yeah, right now it's not allowing me to. Let me try one more time.
I think he needs to follow you so that he can join.
Oh, Dr. Muhammad Ali, you're not following me. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. But now a lot of things are making sense.
Yeah.
So, one more time I tried. Otherwise, I think, alhamdulillah, we have Doctor with us. Assalamu alaikum, Doctor.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. How are you both? Okay, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, I hope you're well too. I will go silent now and just listen.
Okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I begin in the name of Allah, who is the all merciful, the all compassionate. May the peace and blessings be upon our holy prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his pristine progeny. On behalf of this humble initiative, Lantern of Light, Travelers of Light, as we all are in this journey of this dunya, inshallah, I have the esteemed pleasure of, extending my heartfelt Mubaraki to all of you on this Khushali of Imam Ali al-Naqi And we are also enjoying the Eid al-Ghadir. We just celebrated Eid al-Adha, and I remember the Du'a Arafah reflections and how we have cleansed ourselves. So subhanAllah, this is the next stage after the reflections that we had with Sheikh Jawad last Saturday, and it was beautiful. I was in tears, and I'm sure you all were. And I just felt this is just a perfect sandwich between Du'a, Arafah, and the day of Arafah, the Eid al-Ghadir, and then we have we had Du'a Arafah, Eid al-Adha, and then now we have Eid al-Ghadir. And beautiful sandwich, we have Du'a Kumayl. So without any more time waste, inshallah, can I have the pleasure of inviting my brother, the amazing Qari, who has always been there for us, Dr. Muhammad Ali, to bless this beautiful platform with Quran recitation. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister, you're always very kind. Thank you very much. Thank you. Inshallah, we'll be reciting from Surah Al-A'raf, Surah 7, verse 113 onwards, just for a few minutes, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وجاء السحرة فرعون قالوا إن لنا لأجرا إن كنا نحن الغالبين. قال نعم وإنكم لمن المقربين. قالوا يا موسى إما أن تلقي وإما أن نكون نحن الملقين. قال ألقوا. فلما ألقوا سحروا أعين الناس واسترهبوهم وجاءوا بسحر عظيم. وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألق عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون. فوقع الحق وبطل ما كانوا يعملون. فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا صاغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا
Subhanallah.
فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا صاغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون صدق الله العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brother Muhammad, can I say something to you? I was really stressed because I've shared the link to hundreds of people. And I was almost like, these are seniors. They don't know the heck of Instagram. How are they going to hack it? I was thinking of the elders, you know, they are so used to YouTube. And now I feel, okay, this was the plan. I just want to go ahead with the plan. And I think the recitation of Quran has really given me a source of comfort. And I think now we just want to tap into Du'a Kumayl. So this is my first time introducing Dr. Shaykh Javad Shomali. He needs no introduction. I look at him as my young brother. I look up to him as an inspirational guide. I look up to him as someone who makes Islam, God, spirituality, a little bit more comfortable, easy, accessible, accommodating. And being a psychotherapist, his research in psychology, spirituality, and his concern for our youth, our young people, is absolutely amazing. But he has that heart, you know? He looks up to people, he looks up to scholars, and I really, really pray for him from the bottom of my heart. And so let us go and tap into the divine portals. I call them divine portals because we have a lot of blockages. You know, when someone wants to go to the doctors and when the doctor tells us, you know, you've got some valves in your heart that have blockages and you need a surgery. I look at Du'a Kumayl as my spiritual surgery. And I want to just understand, because when I was doing my little bit of research and trying to understand, as Du'a Kumayl has beautiful words, exoteric, esoteric, the butun of Du'a Kumayl is timeless. And I was just looking at the 1,500 words of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, reciting this dua, not on a paper, not from a book. This is a heart-to-heart conversation in the state of sujood. And this is how he gives this as a gift to one of his great confidant, Kumail. Kumail ibn Ziyad, and he was a super devout worshipper, who supported Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam in every part of his existence. So I feel that looking into Du'a Kumayl, most of us go to Jama'ats, recite Du'a Kumayl in 20 minutes. Sometimes our communities bless them with all their sincerity and devotions. I feel because of the time limitations and our human limitations, we feel that, it's just a tick box. I just have to recite it on a Thursday night. And it has to be done in 15, maximum 20 minutes. And I feel, is this what Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam wanted? And for that, I have this wonderful soul. A soul that resonates the heart of Imam Ali alayhi salam. I would like to invite Sheikh Javad Shomali to, inshallah, start and just the floor is his, inshallah. Please, all of you, recite salawat from your homes. If you're in the train, if you're in the car, if you're having your dinner, whatever you're doing, recite a salawat and let us virtually welcome Sheikh Jawad on this Thursday night, inshallah, with his presence. Presence, please. Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And also, I would like to thank you, Sister Nasim and Lantern of Light, for giving me this opportunity to spend some time with beautiful souls talking about a very special dua that we have. I also want to thank Dr. Ali for his, Dr. Muhammad Ali for his beautiful recitation, and also the choice of the verses, which were so beautiful. And I hope, inshallah, God inspires us to talk about things which would be beneficial for everyone. If it's okay, I think I'll start the discussion from the verses that our brother mentioned, because actually it's one of the verses that Imam Hussein as well referred to in Du'a Arafah. And then from there we can, inshallah, pivot to Du'a Kumayl. One of the beautiful things that happened for the magicians of Pharaoh, and our brother read for us these beautiful verses. Again, in these verses you saw it started with the rivalry between Musa on the one hand, Prophet Musa, and then on the other hand the magicians, like who should go first, etc. And it's a battle to prove the other part is wrong. And once the magicians of Pharaoh see in front of them that what Prophet Musa did is not something that they're used to, immediately they fall into sajda and they say, now we have Amanna bi Rabbil Musa wa Harun. We now have faith, full faith. I think this is such a beautiful thing for us to have in mind. This sudden movement from what we can call the farthest point from God to a level of faith that many of us would be envious of. If, you know, in the continuation of the surah, Pharaoh tells the magicians, you started having faith without my permission. I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you. He starts threatening them. And now imagine yourself in that situation, threatened by Pharaoh, the most scary person in the world back then. And they're like, well, your threat means nothing to us. You cannot harm us, you cannot touch us. In one moment, they went from people who did not believe in God and were going against the prophet of God to the kind of people who had such strong faith that they knew Pharaoh cannot even harm them, because they knew that who they are is a soul who is right now with God. This kind of going from maybe the farthest point from God to a very point close to God, I think it's very much the essence, not the essence of, but it's a theme that you see in Du'a Kumayl a lot. It's very beautiful. And I wanted to point this out tonight, and I thought maybe we can start from here. It's very beautiful in Du'a Kumayl. For example, you see that Imam is saying that Allahumma aghfir li dhunub allati tughayyiru an-ni'am, Allahumma aghfir li dhunub allati tunzilu al-bala. I've made sins that change my blessings. I've made sins that bring calamities. I've made sins that do that. And it's like, oh, bad. And then he says, Ana al-abd al-dhalil al-haqir al-miskin. I am this and that. And then the next line he says, وَفِي جَمِيعِ الْأَحْوَالِ عَطُوفًا. God, I want you to be in every moment very kind and nice to me. Again, we go later on in Du'a Kumayl, Imam keeps saying that, God, I've made this sin, I've made that sin, please forgive. كُلَّ جُرْمٍ أَجْرَبْتُ وَكُلَّ ذَنْبٍ أَذْنَبْتُ. I have so many mistakes, I have so many sins. The next line, the Imam says, I don't want to just be a good person. I want to be the closest person. You know, so It's very interesting idea. One moment we mention, oh, I have so many shortcomings, I've got this mistake, I've got that. The next moment we don't say I want to be a good person. Like, I want to be the highest possible. It's very interesting, and I think thinking about this will really unlock Du'a Kumayl for us, because as it stands, I think Du'a Kumayl has a few places that a lot of people struggle to understand. Why is this happening? So far, what am I saying? I'm saying that in Du'a Kumayl, you get a sense of the person. On the one hand, they say, I'm the lowest of the low. Then in the next line, they're like, I want to be the highest of the high. What is the secret for this? Like, how could that be the case? In talking about this, we'll also understand why would someone like Imam Ali or Kumail, who are these really nice people, keep doing istighfar in front of God? Like, God, Allahumma aghfir, Allahumma aghfir. Did Imam Ali have that much sin, na'uzubillah, that he had to say so much istighfar for? What is the solution? What is the answer to this? Some people, when they want to answer this, they're like, no, Imam Ali didn't have sin, but he's trying to show us, as if Imam Ali is an actor who just craves for fake so that we learn to do istighfar. But inshallah, we'll talk tonight and see, no, maybe we don't need to go that way to explain this. No, maybe there's an easier way of why is it someone like Imam Ali, who is so high, would do so much istighfar. How does that make sense? We'll talk about it. And we realize we don't have to say it's fake. He's just teaching us. So I think now at this point, it's a good place to mention there are two ways of reading Du'a Kumayl at least. One way is without having a deep understanding of the world, remaining where we are, reading the dua and just trying to understand it from the level that we are in right now. You know, this level that says, if Imam Ali doesn't have sin, why is he doing istighfar? So you see that a lot of people, masalan, if during the week they've made a few mistakes, when Thursday night comes, they're like, oh yes, I mean it this time. Allahumma aghfir li adh-dhunub allati, masalan, I did that to my husband, or I did that to my wife. This week they mean it. But if they look at their week and they're like, oh, I haven't done much sins, why should I do istighfar? It becomes difficult for them to relate to it. And this is the reason for that is we still don't know what sin is or what istighfar is, what is our relationship with God. And so, inshallah, maybe we can explore this a little bit tonight. And I think, inshallah, you will realize that, there is a whole new level of reading Du'a Kumayl. It's not that, masalan, maybe I lied today or I forgot my prayer, so I'm saying astaghfirullah. No, maybe it's talking about something much deeper. Maybe there are other things happening here. And if you pay attention to it, if we pay attention to it, slowly, you realize, okay, new realms of knowledge open to us. I would like to mention an example that I was thinking about today to help us understand this point, that if we want to understand the du'as of Ahlul Bayt from our own level, we're going to keep hitting walls. There will be certain things there that don't make sense to us, and so we would have to bend them to make them match our understanding of the world, right? I said Imam Ali keeps saying, God, I've made this sin, I'm Zalil, I'm Haqir. And we're like, what is it? Does Imam Ali have self-esteem issues, God forbid? Why does he say I'm Khazi, I'm Khashi, I'm Zalil, I'm Miskin, I'm Muslim? So we have to do some gymnastics to make it sense to our understanding of the world. Or for example, masalan, in our prayer we say, Bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi aqumu wa aq'ud. Most of us, the way we understand the world, that doesn't make sense. Because we're saying, God, it is with your knowledge, with your power and will that I am getting up. Even though when we refer to our own experience, we don't feel like it's with God's power or will that we are getting up. No. And if anyone's at home, I would actually encourage them to get up for a moment. Bismillah. Did you do that with God's power or with your power? I would say it was my own power and will. So what is this that we're saying in Salat? It is with God's power and will that I'm getting up and sitting down. Cool. At this point, when we are faced with a line like this, either in our salat or in our Du'a Kumayl, we have two options. Either we say, "Hala, God is saying something again. Maybe it means the power I have is coming from God. So it's my power, but God gave it to me." You can either bend the line to match your understanding of the world, or you can sit with, how is it that I feel it's my power, but God said, no, it's not your power, it's my power. If a person really stays with these things and reflects on it, doors will open to them. Like this. One of the ways to have self-knowledge is this. Slowly, the person will realize that Quran, Ahlul Bayt, all of these are speaking about the world from a different point of view. And maybe tonight we can open this up a little bit. One of the ways in which the Ahlul Bayt, Quran, God look at the world and they see differently is that according to them, they are not good people and bad people. Please let me explain before you judge me. In the sense that there's a level of understanding the world in which you realize that, okay, a person on their own, they don't have anything to do any good. You know, God says, "Ma asabakum min musibatin famin anfusikum," but then whatever good comes to you is from God. Well, alone we may say, no, a lot of the good I'm doing myself, in the same way that when we get up, you're saying I'm getting up with my own power. And it's true, at this stage, this is how we feel. But in order to understand Du'a Kumayl, we have to slowly start accepting that even the moment you did something good, God did it for you. If it wasn't for God, at that very moment, you wouldn't have done it. And Allah, I'm going to explore just this part of the dua a little bit because the dua has so many depths, but I feel like opening this part up, it will turn Du'a Kumayl into a magical weapon for you. Silahul Buqa. It will really help you change your life. And in order to be able to benefit Du'a Kumayl in that way, it's so important for us to realize the good things we do, it's not because, masalan, if I'm doing something good that another person is not doing, it's not because I'm better than them. It's because in some way, God has come and helped me. And a lot of the times, actually, when you look at someone, masalan, we even have a hadith. If I look at someone, they're making a mistake, and I say, oh, I'm better than them. Oh, look at them, they're making a mistake. I judge them. I look down on them. The hadith says you will end up doing the same mistake. Why? So that you realize, see, if you were in that person's condition, if you weren't given that support, if you weren't given that education, if you weren't given that love as a child, you would have done what this person is doing as well. So right now, the good things we do, we are doing them with so much backup from God, so much support from God, 100% from God. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time here to unravel this. This is so important for us to know. Let me mention a few examples from the other side. Masala, there was a very, a famous story a while ago of a person who had committed so much crime, unfortunately. A soul who was very lost, had committed so much crimes. Then at the end, when he had got his sentence, he's in prison. You know, sometimes priests go to the prison to give some spiritual help and support to the people in their last moments to get they receive their sentence. The priest goes there and puts his hand on the shoulder of this criminal. And the criminal says, do you know that no one in my life ever touched me? And I had this massive lack, this massive need and emptiness that made me come to the world and, react the way I did. Although we're not justifying what he did, but if a person is honest with themselves, at this point they will ask, okay, what would I have done if no one in my life ever showed love to me? If no one, even when I was a child, supported me, listened to me, tuned into me? And now you may say that, yeah, Sheikh Javad, yeah, I would have been a great person. I'll say, bless you. But as a psychotherapist, one of the things I've seen is that children who don't receive love in the first 2 years of their life, it's so difficult for them to have empathy, right? It is so difficult for someone who was never given empathy and love, especially early on in their life, to be able to understand what others would go through, right? So what am I trying to say using these examples is that I gave a very difficult example, very caricature example of someone who's doing so much crime. At the end, they say, you know what? I was never given love. Now I want to bring it a little bit closer to show in our own life. Sometimes in the day, I'm a little bit tired, exhausted, work is getting busy. Let's say my wife comes, I'm a little bit grumpy with them. Why did you do that? I'm working, deadline is approaching. Someone wants to talk to me, can't she see that I'm working? You know, whenever we're a little bit stressed in our own life, we get a little bit grumpy. Even, let's say you're going to work or a meeting, you're late. If someone comes in front of you or the driver in front of you is going so slow, you get angry. Babe, come on, get away, can't you see I'm going? So you see, we're a little bit on the edge when we're stressed. Now imagine you've received a beautiful news. Like, for example, your mom is coming to visit you after many years of not seeing her, or a best friend is coming, or you were proposing to someone you loved and her father finally accepted, or his father. Now you're getting married. Imagine that joy of that great news. Now you're driving. Even if the driver in front of you is the slowest driver in the world, even if they're annoying, even if someone comes to you and shouts at you, you don't care. You have so much energy inside, love inside. No matter what happens around you, you're so calm. So even with us, it's not that criminal that didn't receive love and became angry and violent. Even within us, when in our own life we don't get a good news, we don't get love, when we're stressed, we start doing bad things. We become grumpy, we go outside, we're a bad driver, we shout at others, right? So even in our own life, God is so many times showing us that, see, on your own, without love, without good news, without support, you lose your temper. You're on the edge, right? Even in these small things, God is showing us that, maybe it's my help, right? Now, once we start acknowledging this in these cases, and it's happened to me so many times. I'm so grumpy at home. A good news comes, I become nice to everyone. And I'm like, oh, wow. So it's not that I am nice, right? The good news helped me be nice. Otherwise, without the good news, I was struggling to get up. If you notice this in this one example, if you want to, what is it called, fasten your spiritual journey, you can say, well, probably in other cases as well, that's why I'm being nice. If in this one incident God showed you that it's with my help that you're nice, you can generalize that and say, so everything I'm doing is with God's help. And this is why we read, Masalan, in the verse of the Quran that God says, baby, whatever good you do is from me. That's what God means. Well, sometimes God shows us small examples of it. Masalan, sometimes he removes one of his help, so we end up making a mistake, and he's showing us, see, this is you without my help. Or one of the ways in which I realize how much we take credit of God's help is, for a while I thought that I have mastered life. I am very calm, I am very spiritual. And I was like, yeah, it's me, because I am the calm one. Then it just happened that I had to travel and Zahra couldn't come. And I was on my own in Iran, and I realized, oh, it's so much more difficult to be calm. And I was like, So I thought I'm the spiritual one, but so much of that calmness was through the support of people in my life. It was my wife. If she wasn't there, I wouldn't have been. And who put that in my life? Who put her? God. So slowly, if a person is careful, God will show them in their own life. In their mistakes, God shows them, see, one of your supports went away, you made a mistake. And when they do a good thing, God shows them, see, I brought something new to your life. Look how much you're functioning better now. You listen to a lecture, now you're stronger. You read a book, now you're more spiritual. So in all of these cases, God is showing us, when I come to your life, you act better. And when you remove my help, when you don't see my help, you become grumpy. This is the most important, I think, point, one of the most important point in our journey of spirituality. And it's this that helps us then look at others and not judge them. One of the 10 signs of intellect to be complete, as one of the Ahl Bayt taught us, is that you look at any person in the world and you don't think I'm better than them. Well, how could that be the case? Without this understanding, aslan, this hadith doesn't make sense. Obviously, I'm better than someone. I am kind, I am masalan loving, I don't get angry, I've never killed anyone. How could I not be better than someone else? See, if we don't try to look at the world the way Ahl Bayt do or Quran does, the hadith doesn't make sense. But once you bring the discussion we had today into the effect, it is, the Imam is saying, yes, you may do better things than someone else, but that doesn't make you better. It just means that you've received more support from God, and now your duty is to go and give the support to other people too. So you realize at this stage, and it's so interesting, actually one of the signs of test of Prophet Musa as well was this, that God told Prophet Musa, go and bring someone that you're better than. And Prophet Musa went and said, God, I couldn't find anyone that I'm better than. So it all comes back to this. A person at some point in their journey of life should realize, and God will help them realize that, whatever good thing you do is because God came and gave you love, gave you support, and as a result of that, you became nice. If God removes that love and support, you become angry. And the other person there, the person who's bad, the person who's making a mistake, he hasn't received love, he hasn't received support. Go and support them. Go and show love to this person who's angry. See what beautiful person they become. Right? And masalan, in so many of these relationship courses, when some of them goes to a relationship course and then decide that, you know what, for a few weeks I'm just going to show love, they realize the same person who was so grumpy, with a little bit of love, they became so nice. So now I think it's time for us to go finally to Du'a Kumayl. And the reason I mentioned that is because these lines, when the Imam says Ana al-Dhalil al-Haqir al-Miskin al-Mustaqeen, that's when his Imam is talking about an Insan without God's support. Of course, without God's support, I am the lowest of the low. And I have seen, if other beautiful souls at home haven't seen, I, Shaykh Javad, have seen a lot of times in my life. For 1 second, when God removes his support, his love, or a person that he's put in my life window, I suddenly change. And I'm like, God, don't leave me on my own. Right? And that's famous prayer of the Prophet. Ilahi la tatrukni ila nafsi tarfata aynin abada. God, don't leave me to myself. So much of what makes us good, in fact, all of it, even though we find it inside, belongs to God. And so when you realize that, you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's who I am. I'm the one who broke my mother's heart that easily. I'm the one who did that. I'm the one who did that. In so many of the mistakes we made in our life, God was showing us, baby, didn't you love your mother? Wow, look at the way you shouted at her. If that love is not inside you, you become painful and hurtful to the most beloved people in your own life. And son, this is what you are if you want to only rely on your own resources. But come to me. Come to me, as God is saying, I'll give you so many resources that again you will be loving to everyone, kind to everyone. So this is what we see, that in Du'a Kumayl, on the one moment it says, Ana al-abd al-dhalil al-haqir, I am the lowest of the low. The next moment it says, I want to be the best, I want to be the closest, I want to be that. Because the person in Du'a Kumayl realizes that, you know what, I want to stop relying on myself. I want to rely on God. And as soon as the person says that, life becomes so much easier. I'll give a few examples of this, and then again maybe we can slowly end it. I'll just mention some of the things that Imam mentions, which is so beautiful. See, Imam says, God, I don't want to just be a good person, a mediocre good person. No. حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين. I want to be, imagine if those who are rushing towards you, I want to be among them. یعنی مثلا think of Kumail, Allamah Majlisi, Bahchat, I don't know. It says, I want to be even مثلا faster than them, be with them. Yani, it's so interesting. 2 minutes they were saying, God, I broke someone's heart, I made a mistake. Now you're saying, I want to be the best. I want to be with Kumail, I want to be with the Ahlul Bayt. وَأُسْرَعَ إِلَيْكَ فِي الْبَارِزِينَ, I want to rush towards you. وَأَدْنُ وَمِنْكَ دُنُوَّ الْمُخْلَصِينَ, I want to be so close to you, the closest that the mukhlisin are, the purified ones are. So how can this be? And the answer is this: at some point in our spiritual journey, we need to accept on our own we don't have enough resources to even be a nice person, to be a good person. Although I've seen this many times in my life. You want to be there for a person who's ill. You want to be there for a person who's lonely. If you want to rely on your own resources, you get resentful at the person you want to help. The first hour you're nice to them, you're kind to them. Then the third hour you're like a little bit less kind. By night you hate them. You know, so in all of these, we are understanding something about ourselves, that on myself, with my own resources, I can't even be there for the people I love. But I don't have to rely on my resources. The moment I say, God, you know what, I gave up on myself, I want you to come through me, give me so much love, give me so much energy. The moment you do that, you become a different person. Then you have so much to give, you're so kind, you become like the prophet, that no matter what they did to him, he would always smile. Why is it that a person can always be so calm, never lose their balance, never lose their temper? Because inside they've given up on themselves, they are fully, completely relying on God. The more you feel that on my own I can't do much, the more you see yourself as someone who doesn't have resources, the more you rely on God. Now, once, maybe I can give a practical, by the way, example of how to use Du'a Kumayl, and I have mentioned this to friends and it has actually changed their life. You know, I want to give our beautiful viewers, the beautiful souls who are watching this, a secret to spirituality that can really change your life, increase your speed by 1,000,000. Imagine you're in a situation and you feel jealousy, right? Or for example, a person may be in a relationship, but they start feeling that, oh, I have desires for someone else. Usually, most of us, because we're good people, and not good people in the sense that we're better than others, or because we've been in the families that virtue has been there, when we feel that we're jealous or we feel like desire for a person that shouldn't be there, we feel so terrible about ourselves. Oh, it's nasty, fulan, bahman. We feel so guilty. We go down, we don't know what to do. Imam Ali is teaching us, obviously you're like that without God's support. Don't even stress it. The next moment, go to God, God, it seems like you haven't, I need more light, I need more support, I need more love, so that I don't, it seems like part of my soul has been left alone. And as a result of that, these weird jealousies or desires are popping up. No, you immediately go to God without any worry, without any stress. Say, God, give me light. Fill me with light, fill me with love, so that these things, these desires I have, these tendencies I have, go away. And you will see, believe me, if you really see it this way, very miraculously, you will get over things that people may struggle with for 10, 15 years. I've seen that many people are saying we're dealing with desires we have for 10, 15 years, we still can't get over it. And the reason for that is that they're trying to rely on themselves, finding some resources inside. Imam Ali says, don't. Imam Ali says, go to God and say, God, on my own, this is who I am. On my own, give me more resources. Fill me with light, fill me with energy. And then the next moment, I don't want to just not be jealous. No, I want to be the most spiritual person in the world. And you will see that in one moment you can go from being jealous, from having desires that you're so ashamed of, to being the most spiritual that you've ever been in your life. Why? Because you gave up on trying to do it on your own. And It's exactly like what happened to the magicians of the Pharaoh. On the one moment, they're fighting the Prophet of God. The next moment, when they live with God, when they rely on God, they're the highest. And someone like me has to work many years to become like them. Although I'm not going to work many years, I'm going to ask God to help me there. So, Du'a Kumayl, I think one of the best practical ways that we can recite it is in these cases. Look in your own life and see what challenge you have. Let go of trying to overcome that challenge on your own. Have full trust that with God you can overcome it. And no matter where you are, not just overcome that, but go to the highest level of spirituality you've ever been. So let's say you have, for example, desires you don't want to have. Let's say you're jealous. Let's say you find yourself to be addicted. Let's say you find yourself to have riyah inside. Let's say you are so tired of helping someone that you should be helping. You have an old parent at home, or a person or a family member who's ill, and you're really, really tired and angry at them. Sometimes people even tell me, Sheikh, I'm so tired of taking care of this person. Sometimes I secretly wish they die. Right? And then they wish the person dies because they're tired, then they feel guilty. Imam Ali says, don't feel guilty. Obviously you want them to die because you're a tiny little beautiful soul and your resources are limited. Accept that. Yes, God, without your love, I'm like this. Give me love, then see what I become. So in the week, imagine if Du'a Kumayl, when you read Du'a Kumayl, it is that moment that you look at the week, what challenges you have, say, God, I don't want to deal with this challenge on my own. I've come to you from the very get-go. I'm giving up on myself. I want to rely on you. And I promise you, it will change your life. Let me give you an example to see how practical it is. I had someone messaging me. I hope it's okay to mention this example. I just want it to be real. One of the brothers messaged me. He said, at my work, I have colleagues and I'm struggling a little bit in the sense of the colleagues are from, obviously, they're women and they're beautiful, and I don't want to have certain desires, and work is becoming very difficult for me. And I go to work in the morning, I'm like, I'm not going to have any thoughts, etc. By night, I come back, I really hate myself. I told him, why are you trying to do this on your own? I told him, today on the way, read Du'a Kumayl, but with this attitude on the way to work. Read Du'a Kumayl and say, God, I want you to come and through me do the right thing. Because on my own, you showed to me how I am. And believe me, he said, in one day, I went from someone who was struggling with so much to someone who went not only so okay with the whole situation, I went 10 levels above it. Yani he became a source of spirituality for the whole workplace. And this is how I'm saying Du'a Kumayl can be magic. It can be magic, but in order for the magic to work, we have to have this attitude. God, I give up on myself. I want to fully rely on you. And then there's so much more we can say, but I just thought this would be a very practical approach to Du'a Kumayl. And slowly, you will realize that God will take you to places you did not even imagine. If in your own challenges here and there, I want to be more loving, I want to be more patient, I want to be, etc., you went to God to give energy. At some point, you go to God and say, God, you know what? Even for my spiritual journey, I don't want to rely on myself. I want you to take me towards yourself, which is what the Imam says towards the end of Du'a Kumayl. Imam tells God, I can't even come to you. You take me towards yourself. And it's so beautiful because it's a kind of, it's like a beautiful way that the person says, you know what, God, in all of my movements, if so far I try to live on my own, move on my own, love on my own, be strong on my own, or be spiritual on my own, from this point onwards, I don't want to do anything on my own. I want in every step of the way, rely on you. If I'm going there, I want you to take me. And I want to be aware of that. So I cannot be nice, I cannot be strong, I cannot be loving if you remove your help from me. So you be there. And so at this point, begin towards the end of Dua, you realize, your task is not to become a good person. God is doing that. God will take care of that because you went to him and asked to him to help you. So the Imam says, all I want at this point is dhikr. I just want to remember you, God. Because the moment I remember you, I know that I'm not my own. I don't need to rely on my own resources. All I need to do from going from being the lowest of the low to the highest of the high is just to remember God. All I need to do to go from a jealous person who even the religious work is to show off, or for example, even when they want to love, they get resentful. All I need to do to go from this to being a very humble, a person with sincerity, with so much love, all I need for this is to remember God. Yani all of these things that they told us in religious studies and stuff, that you have to be patient, you have to be this, Imam says, forget about all of that. The only way is dhikr. The only way is to ask God for help. Fill me with patience. Fill me with taqwa. Fill me with sincerity. And so you see, by the end of it, all Imam wants is dhikr. All Imam wants is to remember God, because he knows that all we lack in this life is God. And it's so interesting because Allamah Tabai, in his beautiful work, he says that, do you know that the solution to all of our problems, anyone who ever made any mistake, is just that they were lacking God. Part of their soul, the light of God hadn't reached, the love of God hadn't reached. And when God love doesn't come to a corner of our soul, something grows there. Fear grows, addiction grows, resentment grows. Any problem we have has one solution: remembering God, going towards God. It is in the absence of remembrance of God and the light of God that inside us, in that darkness, in the absence of remembrance of God, weird things grow: jealousy, desires, anger. So Imam says, if you want all of your problems to go away all at once, have only one thing you're working on, and let that be remembrance of God. Once God love comes in, you find it easy not to lose your temper. Once God remembrance is there, once God love is there, once God presence is there, you find it easy not to be angry, not to be jealous, to be sincere. All of your problems will be solved easily. And then at that point, the person doesn't even care about much else, which we see that Imam says, I don't care if I'm going to heaven or hell. All of that loses meaning. All I want is, I don't want to be away from you. I don't want to be away from God, because I have seen how much more beautiful everything becomes when God is there. Even I become more beautiful when God is there. When God is not there, I do weird things. When God is there, I become so nice. And it's so interesting that at the end of it, the Imam asks God, وَافْعَلْ بِمَا أَنْتَ أَهْلُهُ. I said, remove me from the equation. I want you to be all there is. I want you to help me be nice. I want you to help me be kind. And I don't even want you to show me to myself. And treat me as if I'm not there. Just all that I want there to be is you. So, Allah, maybe we can pause a little bit here, and if there are any questions, maybe I can talk a little bit there, because I think I spoke for so much. We can maybe wake people up. But if you agree, maybe we can have the questions, and then at the end finish and maybe do a few minutes of zikr, if you agree, sister.
Absolutely, absolutely. May I suggest and
Sure.
request Sheikh Jawad to have some water? You must be,
Thank you so much. Without
Um,
water, I can't even talk. Very good. Thank you so much.
yeah. SubhanAllah, the weather has been amazing, hasn't it, in the UK?
The weather right now is perfect because I'm sitting under an AC, but
Alhamdulillah.
yes, but it's been very warm, mashallah. I'm sure the British people are very happy. Yes, me coming from Qom, a very warm city, for me this feels like this feels the normal weather. Yes, alhamdulillah.
Am I allowed to say something to our viewers who have joined us? Is that okay?
Yes. Astaghfirullah. I'm so sorry. You're the host. Bismillah.
Not at all, not at all. I mean, honestly, I feel that this is a pleasure to have Sheikh Jawad. And inshallah, I think through your support, each one of you who has joined us this evening, I think through your support and your love, I really hope that Sheikh Javad takes Du'a Kumayl on a journey. You know, this was just scratching the surface today, and I feel that there's so much more to unpack. And I think the perfect example that he's given us this evening is Allahumma inni ataqarrabu ilayka bidhikrik. You know, I want to come to you. I want to get closer to you. I want to feel your love. I want to feel your grace. I mean, Du'a Kumail is not about the Hurul Ain. You know, in Ramadan we recite, oh Allah, provide me with the, you know, the Huris of paradise and all these amazing, beautiful du'as that we recite in, you know, in the month of Ramadan. But Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam is beyond that. And I think this is something that I would like us to enjoy. And I really want to encourage all my brothers and sisters, before you go to your Jumeirah programs, I'm talking, you know, Jumeirah meaning in Gujarati, because I'm a Gujarati, right? I'm a Khoja. Subhanallah, I'm everything, okay? I'm not a racist, by the way. I love everyone and I embrace everyone. You know, this Jumeirah program, traditionally when we go, we just sit there, we're so bored. We just want the dua to end. It's almost like, oh my God, how long, how long? You just want to finish it. I want to start. And I think maybe this was our way of starting. And I don't know how Allah inspired us to connect and have this dua. So the questions here, please share them with Sheikh Jawad and let's learn from him, inshallah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because yeah, I actually wanted to say, I forgot that I think yeah, today we just scratched the surface of Du'a Kumayl. And there is so much. I was thinking just the first line, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasa'at, that itself is a series. So there's so much there. So you're completely right. And one of the reasons why I personally feel like I really love Du'a Kumayl, I feel like Du'a Kumayl is the perfect, what is they call it, segue kinda, or for people who have the normal understanding of religion, who want to go to that deeper understanding of religion that Ahl Bayt want. Like, I feel like with Du'a Arafah, it kinda like it, from the beginning you fall into the depth. But with Du'a Kumayl, it's a gentle, slowly takes you to the depth. So I think it's a very good dua to really reflect on. Maybe if you agree, we can have some of the questions and see what, inshallah, God will take us.
Bismillah. Bismillah.
What advice do you have for someone who struggles to maintain their 5 daily salah despite knowing its obligation? One of the things, I hope, inshallah, we learn is that, see, obligation is a different language to what I would use. Someone who wants to pray because it's obligatory, they are trying to put an external force on them. It's like you're in the highway and you want to go so fast, but you know the police will catch you. And we've all been in that situation. We know that there is a massive conflict when you are not convinced from inside. So I would say, Asan, forget about the language of its obligatory obligation. God in the Quran, what does he say? He says, Aqim as-salata li-dhikri. He doesn't say pray because it's wajib. He says pray because you remember me. Come and remember me. Oh God, why should I remember you? What's the point? Literally what we were talking about tonight. We said, see, God is the source of love, energy, and beauty, right? In our own life, if we reflect, we see that there are moments where we're really in a way that we don't like. We get grumpy, we shout at people we love, we become a little bit, not beautiful. And in some moments, no, we are so beautiful, we are so kind, someone even shouts at us, we have the really niceness to be, return that with kindness. God says, what is the difference between these two states of you? Sometimes you're angry to your loved ones. Sometimes you're even patient with your enemies. What happened? God says, baby, the difference between these two situations was that you were connected to a source. When you act beautifully, you're connected to the source of beauty. So God says, if you want to be more beautiful, if you want to live a nicer life, if you want to have more patience, more calm, if you don't want fears of life, worries of your life to shake you here and there, come and let me fill you with energy, with calmness, with beauty. And so prayer is that. As long as we haven't felt that, as long as we can't go to prayer and feel like we are plugging into our source, all of the external efforts to make us pray are useless. And hala, don't think that those who are praying will get anywhere if internally they haven't reached it. The Prophet says there are so many people who pray and get farther from God. Imam Baqir says there are so many people who for 20, 30 years pray and they don't gain anything. So the moment prayer becomes sweet is the moment you know what God is, why you need God, and why would you want to talk to God. Then naturally you would want to go towards God. And in life you realize, oh my God, my energy is running out, my love is running out. You go to God to get that energy. And but unfortunately, with our language, we've kind of made everything not work. Masalan, they say that for prayer, Salatul Layl was obligatory. Baba, why are you talking about it like that? God in Quran tells Prophet, إِنَّكَ فِي النَّهَارِ سَبْحًا طَوِيلًا, something like this. لَكَ فِي النَّهَارِ سَبْحًا. In the day, there is so much you have to do. People are going to come, people are going to throw stones at you. You have to deal with people who are so, they're not going to change, they're not going to accept their truth. It's going to be very difficult in the day for you. People will hate you, etc. At night, come to me, let me fill you with love, let me fill you with energy, so that in the day you have enough to give. Right? So even to our own Prophet, God says, come at night, let's spend some time together, let me fill you with energy, so in the day you have and you can give to others. Although they're saying Salatul Layl is wajib for a Prophet. But what do you mean? God said, come and get energy from me. So I hope that answers that question. Is it okay if we go to the next one? I'm so sorry, I'm being such a naughty guest.
Bismillah. Bismillah.
Astaghfirullah. Or would you like to choose the question, whatever you prefer? You're the...
I think I look at Du'a Kumayl as a spiritual encyclopedia. Like when we have all these amazing volumes of encyclopedia on a particular subject. And I think that looking into God's majesty, God's beauty, His sifat, His attributes, His characteristics. The way Imam Ali alayhi salam describes, in this dua, it's so amazing. And being a mother, and I always, in my presentations, to be honest, being a mom, we play so many roles, right? So this morning, I was leaving home and I was visiting some friends. So my son, it's summertime, he's done his A-level exams, and he's told me, Mom, I need to chill for a bit, I've had a lot, long months of studying. And then I just go, knock, knock, Assalamu alaikum, I'm going out. Do me a favor, just can you help me hoover the house? Just do this for me. And he says to me, Mom, you know what? I was having such a beautiful dream. And you disturbed me. Okay, can I just go back and focus on my dream, please? Khidr, bye. And I came home. The house was done. Yeah. Now, if I was crabby and angry, you have to do the hoovering. I think it's a choice of words. Honestly, parenting, we talk about parenting kids. And I look at this dua, it's almost like Imam Ali alayhi salam is teaching us on how to talk to Allah. And this is such a beautiful dua. The way he gently focuses on himself, shows his haqir and his lowliness. And this is something that I feel so fascinated in salah. When we say in qunut. This is an example. Sheikh Javad, if you don't mind, I'm sharing it here.
Oh, please.
And I feel very embarrassed in front of a scholar, to speak, right? And then we find ourselves that you can recite your qunut dua in any language. And I think that is an intimate point in fiqh, right? In the ahkam, the canonical laws, right? So what
Yeah.
do? So we raise our hands, right? Now, this is a sign to show my poverty, that I go with God with emptiness, you know, feeling nothing, and almost like telling God, God, you fill my divine, your resources. I just want to plunge to you, and I want you to fill it with, with your grace. And that is this dua. And you look at the way he's in sujood and the love of sujood. So perhaps maybe you could talk about how we can practically love sujood, because most of us, when we are praying salah, we just want to get over salah. We don't even do our tasbih. We don't do any taqibat. We don't even just pause and reflect. And I feel that the intimate connection of sujood is something so beautiful. And maybe you could share some light on sujood, part of Imam Ali alayhi salam's dua. Bismillah.
Yeah, Bismillah. So I think, yes, sujood, actually, they say it's one of the most powerful positions for a believer. And again, it's one of those things that I think is not external. Like, I feel like a lot of us were told to go to sajda with our body before our heart knew why it needs sajda, what sajda is. And I really think that the core of it goes back to that understanding of who God is, who I am, and what should be the relationship between the two. So, and I think it's only after, as you said, the person, the lines of Du'a Kumayl sits in a person's heart, that then they would naturally want to go into sajda and be in that situation with God. And I really think it's so important for someone who still doesn't enjoy sajda to, or even prayer. I know we had questions about prayer, sajda, to really think about what is the relationship with God? Who is this God? And that was one of the things we tried to do with Du'a Kumayl, right? Tonight in our discussion, to say that God is what makes life beautiful. God is, any good there is from God, And any time God goes away from our life, we see what happens. We see what we do. We see we get grumpy. We see we lose our temper. God is that beautiful thing. We are, on the other hand, are the one who relies on that beauty, needs that beauty. So when this being, who from itself doesn't have much, realizes this, and realizes that, that source of all beauty and kindness is actually loves us despite all of our shortcomings and lack, that great reality loves us, is ready to give to us. And Imam Ali says, وَسَكَنْتُ إِلَىٰ قَدِيمِ ذِكْرِكَ لِي, from a long time ago, that great reality that does not need us has been showing us love, has remembered us, and taken care of us, all of that. When you realize this is the situation, on my own I don't have anything, and there is someone who has everything and loves me, is willing to give to me, the natural situation is, you're like, I want to be with you. Asan, I don't want to be with you. I want you to be all there is. At some point in our spiritual journey, we can't force it on others. A person says, Asan, I don't even want to see myself. I have seen enough of myself. I want only to see God. I want God to be God to speak through me, God to live through me, because I've seen on my own what I can do, and I'm not that interested. That movie, that series, I have watched it. So sajda, I think, is this acknowledgement of this total reliance, total beauty of God, this love relationship. And each person goes to it from their own story, and I don't want to, I'm very careful in using words that wouldn't violate people's experiences, but it's nonetheless a very beautiful thing. And miracles happen. I really feel like the most important thing is one moment of feeling God in our life. After that, everything falls into place. The person needs to, in one moment of their life, see God's beauty, see that everything good is coming from God. Yeah, I think from that point onwards, sajda will mean for them, prayer will make sense for them. But before that, person might say, why should I pray? Why should I go to sajda? Just one moment of experiencing God in our life, I think everything falls into its place from that point onwards.
Ahsantu. Thank you very much. And the way Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Ya Sari al-Rida. Ya
Yes.
Sari al-Rida. Oh, the one who's so quick, in showing his happiness. It's almost like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so happy with every little effort that we put towards ourselves and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely. So, yes, Ya Sari al-Riza. One of the beautiful souls was saying that good people say, God, I want you to be happy with me. But people who know God don't say, God, be happy with me. God, help me be happy with you. Because you don't need to pray for God to be happy with you. That's very easy. Ya Sari al-Riza. The moment you say, God, I'm here, God says, hope I'm happy with you. God is very quick to be happy with us. It's usually us who have issues with God, with life. We find it difficult to have tawakkul and riza. And in that hadith, when God was asked, what can we do so that you're happy with us? He said, you be happy with me, I'll be happy with you. He says, if you have rida, I will have riza. So that Ya Sari al-Riza is actually a very powerful introduction to God, the way Imam Ali sees God. And I think also, I don't know what you think about it. I think, again, our God sometimes in religion, the way they taught us is a little bit different to God of Imam Ali. Masalan, sometimes our God, you have to cry 2-3 nights till he forgives you. But then Imam Ali says, Ya Sari al-Rida. God accepts it very quickly. So it's I think a very important part of the dua, absolutely.
Subhanallah, if there are any questions from our brothers and sisters, please, we have a couple of minutes, inshallah, before I give the podium, the floor to, the virtual floor to Shaykh Javad to do a little bit of dhikr, and inshallah, then we will conclude tonight's session, inshallah, and perhaps we will be so inspired and empowered spiritually that the next time we listen to Du'a Kumayl, we feel the sweetness, the delicacies, and that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that deeper connection, getting deeper into ourselves and unplugging and trying to get rid of all the blockages that we have from our side. Because from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no blockages. He's absolutely available. And I think it's just us. And we just need to, I think, just let go so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give us to our fullest potential. Please, Sheikh.
Yeah, sure. There's just a question in the question box. I'll just quickly answer that. Could you please also answer what sin means, especially in relation to the infallibles? So that's what I tried to say, that sin goes back to the idea of self-knowledge, Although inshallah, maybe one day we can speak. The first paragraph of Du'a Kumayl is explaining what Tawheed is. When a person fully understands Tawheed, they realize that everything in this world is from God. Not just it's from God, as an other than God, there is not much there. Masalan, we read, وَبَأَسْمَائِكَ الَّتِي مَلَأَتْ أَرْكَانَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Hala, I wanted to actually open this up, but I think maybe in another session we can. But once we open that up, a person realizes that, oh wow, everything in this world is from God, every good is from God, and that an insan at the end of the day will look at what insan has. And at that level, you look at yourself, because alone I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I have knowledge, I have this, I have beauty, I have money. After you go through Tawheed, you look at yourself, you're like, oh, knowledge is from God. Beauty is from God. The power to do this is from God. You're looking like, what do I have? What is left for me? And at that point, Insan realizes that, oh my God, all my life I was living on credit from God, right? At that point, that you realize, oh my God, Asan, my own existence was from God, because even existence was only from God. So they say, at that level, sin is just this, that you realize, oh my God, Asan, even my own existence is from God. So for me to even claim existence is a kind of not correct, because my knowledge is from God, my power is from God, my existence is from God. So sin at that level, that's what it means. That's why the Ahl Bayt say that. You realize everything you have is from God. So even to say that I exist is against reality. Well, inshallah, one day we'll open it up when we talk about the first phrase of how can we live a happy life without God. This is inshallah the last question. How do atheists live successful, happy lives? Two things. We cannot live happy lives without God, in the sense that, Asan, you cannot live without God, because if we say God is the source of love, beauty, knowledge, all of that, Asan, it's impossible to live without that, right? It's saying, can a phone function without electricity? It's impossible. So how is it that we see atheists who are living successful lives? The answer is two things. First of all, it is God, the reality, not God, the word, that we cannot live without. So even if an atheist, for example, shows love to their child, in that moment, God is there. Every time anyone ever shows love, anytime anyone ever helps another person, that is God in action, right? So no one is living without God. They may say, I don't believe in the word God, but that's often because people don't know what they're talking about, right? And just because I say something in my head doesn't mean that's how I'm living. Asan, God is love. Love is God. Knowledge is God. So the problem so many people are right now, they're saying, I don't believe in God, is because a lot of the believers, a lot of religious people have acted in the name of God in terrible ways. So the word itself has become annoying. Most people who say we don't believe in God, they're actually good people, in the sense that they are against something we do wrong. But no one can live without God. No one can live without love. So that's one thing. And second thing, to the extent that people don't actively go towards God, they suffer as a result of that. And from outside, you may feel like people's life has a nice front, people's life, but when you go inside, you see, oh my God, a little bit, when you scratch the surface, there's so much pain there. And for example, as a therapist, you get people's pain so much. Right now, for example, in the UK, we have so many people with mental health issues that helplines are completely beyond capacity. And if you, for example, God forbid, you have a child who's self-harming and you call one of these helplines, they're going to say, so sorry, that's not emergency, call back when it's more serious. That's how much pain humanity is in right now. But yes, the front may look really nice. The front is a nice Lexus or a nice BMW, but we're all suffering because we're not getting enough love. And so, that would be the short answer to that. Maybe we can end with a few minutes of dhikr. I want to start Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There's a line in Du'a Kumayl. Imam says, Ya man bada'a khalqi wa dhikri wa tarbiyati wa birri wa taghdiyati. Imam is talking to God and he says, you're the one who bada'a khalqi wa dhikri wa tarbiyati. I did not even exist. I wasn't there. You started my creation. And you started remembering me. It's so beautiful. Even in Du'a Araf, Imam Hussein has elaborated on that. Before we came into this world, before we were born, God started loving us. We were with God. God loved us. God cared about us. And then He brought us to this world. وَبَدَأَ تَرْبِيَتِي. He started taking care of us. Every step of the way, Imam says, oh God, you were there for me till I grew up. And it's so beautiful. the way Imam Ali talks about God, we realize, oh my God, we thought we have to go read books, listen to lectures, maybe if one day we find God, but God had found us a long time ago. In fact, he was never lost. Before we were even created, we were with God. Before we were born, we were with God. And not at even one point God ever left us. He was always there with us. And in Quran, God says, وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. And He is with you wherever you are. And this wherever you are also includes whatever state we are in, whichever state we are in. God says, baby, I was there with you in your childhood. I was there before you were born. I am right now here with you. I will be here with you in the future. Not just that. When you're angry, I'm there, just one attention away, waiting for you to call on to me. When you're sad, I'm there. When you're lonely, I'm there. When you're happy, I'm there. When you find something beautiful, I'm there. Whatever state you are in, I am there with you. And if only you just start looking at me, if only you also start remembering me, because I have been remembering you. I never stop remembering you, God is telling to all of us. Imam Hussein as well said, what? And there is no one who can remember God first, because God will always remember everyone first. And so at this point, it's so important for us to realize that God has been with us. God is right now in this very moment with us, the same God who loved us before we were born, the same God who took care of us, the same God who does not need us, yet is so kind to us. The same God who Imam Sajjad said, when you call me, I am so late to come and answer your call. But when I called you, you rush to answer me. This God, with the source of all greatness and beauty and knowledge, has brought all of his attention to give to every single one of us. And right now, just imagine, God says, فَأَيْنَمَا تَوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you look, that would be, I'm facing you from there. As if God is telling us, baby, wherever you are, I'm ready to pay attention to you. My face is towards you. So now Imam Ali in Du'a Kumayl is telling us, let's us as well also face God. You know, وَإِلَيْكَ يَا رَبِّ نَسَبْتُ وَجْهِي وَمَدَدْتُ يَدِي. So now, if you agree, let's follow the footsteps of Du'a Kumayl and say, God, you were there for us our whole life. You were there for us in every moment of our life, in our difficulties, in our joy. You were there waiting for us to remember you. Now, I finally want to look at you too. I want to remember you too. Right now, and in this very moment, just remember that God is here. And what kind of God? The God who loves us so much, the God who loves us more than anyone in our life has ever loved us, the God who is ready to give everything we need to us. So, take a few seconds and say whatever you want in your heart to God. Lift your mind and heart, whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say. Take a few seconds. I'll go silent and talk to this beautiful God who is ready to listen to you. I know some of us may feel like, I wish I felt God's love more. I wish I was closer to Him. Imam Ali teaches us the answer in Du'a Kumayl as well. Allahumma inni as'aluka bijudaka an tudniyani min qurbik wa an tuza'ani shukrak wa an tulhimani dhikrak. God, I want to feel closer to you. I want to be happier about what you do. I want to remember you more, but I can't. No problem. God, you do it for me out of your kindness, out of your generosity. So if you feel like you want to be able to remember God more, if you want to be able to feel His love more, now is the time to ask Him, and be sure that He will guarantee, it is guaranteed that He will give everything to us. Alhamdulillah. I pass it on to you, Sister Nasim.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for this spiritually uplifting Thursday night, Laylatul Jum'ah, Jumerat, whatever you want to call it, a night that we remember our marhumeen. We remember Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We remember the epic moments of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. And the dua that he recites, the way he intimately calls out to Allah and says, "Oh Allah, I'm here to make my children orphaned for your sake, for your love, for your pleasure." And I feel that this is the Hussein who actually felt Amirul Mu'mineen's soul, who actually embodied the soul of Amirul Mu'mineen, who embodied Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And with that, I would like to appreciate all of you for giving us your hearts, for giving us your time and your energy. And I'm sure you felt fulfilled, no matter what your problem is, no matter how you feel in your journeys. The way Shaykh Javad has taken us on this journey with Du'a Kumayl, let us just plug in. Let us just tune in with Du'a Kumayl and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is so beautiful, who is so forgiving, and understand the deeper meaning of what tawbah is, what istighfar is, and why would Rasulullah recite 70 times every single day according to traditions, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. It was basically for him to connect and go deeper and deeper and deeper into his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawbah in essence means to returning back, awbah, to return back to Allah. And He Himself is introducing us to Tawbah. Subhanallah. Thank you so much, Shaykh Jawad, for accepting our invitation. And we are just volunteers. We just want to inspire the sparkle of Iman, sparkle of Allah, sparkle of love of God, sparkle of Islam, the real Islam, the true Tawheed. I want people to really go back to the basics and work on their basics so that we are able to evolve together as communities. Thank you so much, Shaykhana. And inshallah, with everyone's support, I'm sure Sheikh will give us another chance. Despite his busy schedule, I really appreciate and I pray for your parents and I pray for my dear sister Zahra and all your family members. May Allah fulfill all your hajats on this night of Laylatul Jum'ah. May I request each and every one of you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all the marhumeen before we conclude tonight's session, inshallah. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everyone. Inshallah, see you in another opportunity as well.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.